How you doing? And welcome back to my channel. I'm Coach Michael Chandler. I'm here to do something a little different today. I want to, in the spirit of Black History Month, I want to do some segments discussing Black Americans who are important to not only the foundation of this country, but to the foundation of their own families. And I want to highlight someone that I didn't know about, that I now know about, and I think you should know about. The story hasn't really been told too much, and I don't think it's been told in the spirit of how I'm going to tell it, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me begin with some backstory of Kiah Duggins. She's a civil rights attorney and from Wichita, Kansas. And when she was in Kansas, she actually competed and was a finalist for Miss Kansas, believe it or not. And not only was she a finalist, she took that and actually discussed in a TED talk about underrepresentation for black girls as being princesses, and how the idea was unheard of when she ran it by a friend. She was a little girl. And that friend laughed at her and said, "Well, you can't be a princess, basically, because you're black."
When I was a little girl, I really wanted to be a princess. I loved princesses' grand adventures and ability to garner respect and admiration just from being themselves. So one day, when I was on a play date with a lighter skinned friend, I naturally decided to pretend to be a princess. But my lighter skinned friend stopped me in my tracks. "You can't be a princess," she said, "because black princesses do not exist."
But I'm impressed that she has the understanding of that she knew who she was, because she wanted to find something, a canvas to paint who she was on. And she found the princesses because she saw that princesses are just themselves. And so, her being a young black girl at the time, she admired the fact that there was somebody in a position to where not only did they have respect and admiration, but it was just for being themselves. And she truly was who it was that she was. But after the beginning, right, she ends up leaving Kansas and going to Harvard Law. And normally, under some circumstances, when people do leave their communities and then go to, Harvard, or go to, universities, or even just go to the military, even just get married and move, they normally get the heck out of that town and they don't come back, yet alone come back and try to give something back and bring something back. So I want to show who she is, and then I kind of want to go to some of the things that she did. While she was at Harvard Law School, she challenged unconstitutional policing, money bail practicing, police misconduct, among other things. Now, not only did she do that, she also worked pro bono and helped some of the residents in D.C. with housing during the pandemic. So I'm just trying to give you some backstory of what type of person she was, right? Now, unlike many that go to, Harvard and forget where they come from, I want to show you what she went back to her town and did.
Not fully understood his health impacts and led her to run to some federal agencies. Sean Logging talked with her today about the response she got back and the opportunities she's trying to raise awareness on. Sean.
Like that contamination from the Union Pacific Railroad rail yard in 2019 Grove into the groundwater in a large portion of this historically black neighborhood, all the way down toward Murdoch. So for Kiah Duggins, she tells me it's important to understand the health impact of this long-term contamination and make sure there's resources to address it. Trifluoroethylene, or TCE, was identified as contaminating groundwater by the city of Wichita back in 1994.
Which is the year that I was born. And that chemical TCE is known to cause cancer. It's also known to cause reproductive health issues, birth defects.
The TCE contamination, a chemical commonly used in degreasing of metal parts, going back to a Union Pacific rail yard by 29th and Grove. Last fall, when Kiah Duggins was attending a public meeting about the contamination, it surprised her that no study had been or was being done on the health impacts of the contamination.
The zip code where 29th and Grove is located, 67214, 67219 zip codes, have high infant mortality rates.
That's what prompted Kiah to send a letter to the EPA and White House Council on Environmental Quality last November.
I personally find it unacceptable that it's taken so long to inform the community of the health risks of the contaminated groundwater and also to conduct health studies.
In the response she got back earlier this month, it says, based on community concern, KDHE is working on a health study looking at cancer and birth outcomes. That study is expected to be done sometime early this year. But another part of that letter has Kiah working to raise awareness in the community.
The EPA is offering $100 million in grant money for environmental justice initiatives, and people have to apply for that by April 10th.
This includes grants open to community nonprofit groups that focus on public health and environmental issues.
It's important that the community gets both the healthcare resources that they need and also other forms of reparations to ensure that they can continue to be healthy in the future.
Now, key words: reparations. This woman got $100 million in grant money for those that want to try to correct this thing, because these people, Union Pacific Railroad, spilled chemicals into this black community and contaminated its groundwater. And after that, studies have shown that there are low birth rates and a lot of birth deaths because of it. A lot of people have cancer, lung cancer, and things like that. Now you can go look all this up on your own, but I wanted to show you the power of someone that actually loves their people. That even if they go to Harvard and become a Harvard lawyer or study Harvard law, look at the impact that one person has that goes and gets an education and actually loves their people and loves where they're from and accepts who they are and loves themselves for just being who they are. The definition of the very princess that she wanted to be, that her friend, who was lighter than her, said that it was impossible and that there's no black princess. I'm doing this to show you how strong and how powerful that this woman is. Because for many of us, we seem to get behind who they place in front of us in an artificial light, and we disregard the internal light from within. And as far as Kiah Duggins is concerned, her light was so bright that I think that it may have attracted the wrong company because of the work that she's putting in. She's getting ready to cost Union Pacific a lot of money. And if you ask me, not to go on the conspiracy theory trail, but unfortunately, man, the more I look at this, the more and more I start to see that this young woman was too big. She was too big and she was costing them too much. Union Pacific Railroad is one of the foundations of this country. And she done looked back and said, well, hey, hold on, man. When I was born 30 years ago, so that's personal to her. Y'all spilled this when I was a baby. But hold on. Hold your horses. Things seem like they small and a little sweet and innocent and things like that. But let's get into why I think she's really dangerous. Now, to get into how serious she was, let's talk about how serious the institution was that she was at. Harvard as held remains of 19 likely enslaved individuals and thousands of Native Americans. So it's kind of been becoming more public on how Harvard has had human remains, how they've had not only thousands of Native Americans. It has just come to light to the general public that in order to be more transparent and have some sort of illusion of cleaning up their act, they put together a team to do research on slaves, and not only research on slaves, they actually did research on the. They found they were basically looking up the slaves' descendants, and I want to go ahead and play this clip.
Harvard University has laid off a team of researchers tasked with identifying descendants of those enslaved by the university's leadership.
NBC 10 Boston's Malcolm Johnson has more on the sudden terminations of those researching the university's past. It's a story all new at 5.
We found over 900 people enslaved by Harvard leadership, faculty, and staff.
It was Wayne Tucker's job to find people enslaved on Harvard's campus by Harvard leaders, faculty, and staff, and to trace their descendants. That is, until yesterday.
Yesterday, we were just relieved of all of our duties around 11:30 a.m.
Tucker and his colleagues at the Harvard Slavery Remembrance Program, a university initiative tasked with identifying direct descendants of those enslaved by Harvard leadership, were abruptly laid off.
It's disgusting, to treat your colleagues like that.
Tucker says the program worked with passion because of how many descendants they'd found.
That rush, when you find that nugget, you're like, oh my God. That's a rush that we would get once a week.
That 900 number is a big number. Sean Wynn is the president of Harvard Black Law Students.
I think for a lot of people, we saw the 9-figure commitment to a legacy of slavery initiative as a positive sign and a step in the right direction. And I think I, speak for a lot of people on this campus when I say that this most recent news feels like it is a step in the wrong direction.
It's absolutely not good colleagueship. It does not reflect well on senior leadership at the initiative and the university as a whole.
Well, I'm playing that not just to be two conspiracy theorists. I'm playing that to show you where the sister was at, her proximity, what she was next to, with her mind, what she was able to discern, with her spirit, what she was able to, discern, what she was able to feel, what she was around, what she was next to, with the mind that she had. And to show you the mind that she had, let's go to this clip.
So that's a great question. So when I was applying to law school, I imagined that law school was kind of a Hogwarts for justice, where everybody comes and we learn how to fight for justice together. And that's, especially at Harvard, that's kind of the image that I had in my head. And that is not what I found when I got there. I found that at Harvard Law School, at least, it's mostly an institution that seeks to preserve and hoard power, to put it in one sentence, and not to fight for justice. And so that's the kind of foundation where my answers are going to come from. The things that I would change all revolve around shifting that power and redistributing that power. And so,
boom. Now, you see how she has like a quirky type of attitude. She's kind of bubbly, kind of giggly. But what she's talking about is gangster, man. Listen to what she's saying and listen to what she's talking about doing. was actually take that information and go to a HBCU, Howard University, and teach there. She literally stomped into Harvard, ground zero, got that information to bring it to her people and teach it as a professor at Howard at HBCU. That right there is too big of a distribution of power that I don't believe that the powers that be want it. But I could be wrong, and you could say that things are coincidental or whatever you want to do. That's fine, but that is the facts. I'm showing you who she is. I'm showing you how she got down, and then I'm showing you the moves that she was making, so you can see how big of a playmaker she was, man. Y'all sitting up here worried about who won the goddamn game, these halftime performances, although it may have been some meaning in Kendra's performance, I get it. But I have to do another video on that. But ultimately, your attention is on the wrong thing. I can't think of anyone that was making any moves this big. This woman was a giant. But look at her little cute face. That is scary. And let me give you some more history of her and where I think some of her techniques and some of the things that she was trying to do. I think that what happened was once she received that scholarship or a grant or whatever it was to go teach in Taiwan, she said she had mentioned something about feeling loved there and appreciated and accepted. Now we're back to the princess thing, accepted for who she is. She juxtaposed their laws and their liberation from a time period with ours here in America. And she figured out something, which reminds you of Martin Luther King, that took some of the teachings from Mahatma Gandhi and some of the people that he led to be liberated. She did a similar thing with the Taiwan resistance. And you can read more about it in her article, a 32-page article on the abolition and international human rights, Taiwan's affirmation of Black American abolitionist movements. That's who this, oh man, that's who this girl is, man. This young woman was, I'm sorry. Let me just read a little bit. America's use of police to maintain a social order that protects the interests of upper white class citizens is similar to Taiwan's use of police state to protect the interests of its own authoritarian regime from 1945 to 1987. America's history and international positionality are vastly different from Taiwan's. However, grassroots movements that abolished Taiwan's police state affirm the strategies of the American abolitionist movements for Black liberation and police accountability. That's it. There's nothing else. I mean, what else do you need to see? Man, don't you see how this woman's for real? She's the real deal. This is the superstar. This is the heavyweight champion. This is the Super Bowl MVP. This is the World Series MVP. This is the NBA championship. This is everything. This is it right here. So for those that, oh, it was just this and this and this and this, okay for you. However, if LeBron James was on that plane, everybody would be up in arms. You would have 1,000,000 people. It would be going viral. Everybody would be going on conspiracy theories and all this. Now, I want to give condolences to all 67 people on that flight. And I'm not trying to reduce them as if they're not important. But if our superstar, that's a rider for justice and that loves her people, is on there, then we're going to talk about it. Me and those like me are going to talk about it and discuss it as if it was LeBron James on the plane. And even LeBron James would be a reduction into who she is to me. And that's my truth. And that's the facts. So let me just get that out the way. That way you can know something about me and how I get down and how I think and who I value and why I value them. Okay. Now, let me give you some more of what this woman's about.
I would like to see people who are marginalized, people who are directly affected by the law. I would like to see them creating the curriculums. I would like to see them teaching the classes, because not only does that elevate marginalized voices, but it helps the students who will go on to have powerful positions know how the law actually impacts people, increase their empathy, hopefully lead them to make more equitable decisions in what powerful positions they end up in. I would also change the curriculum to include, like, the main 1L curriculum to include critical theory, like critical legal studies, critical race theory, etc. Because
you see that little quirky, bubbly personality that she has? That little, she doesn't possess what they would stereotype, or some people would stereotype, not all. She doesn't possess that mean spirited, funky attitude that many, throw on black women. She doesn't have that at all, right? She actually has a nice, very bright, beautiful personality that even as a man is still admirable. Is so beautiful, so bright. She holds the truth as well as the spirit of a warrior really well. Very rare will you come across someone like her. You got somebody that got a little funky attitude, that's just a mean spirited person, although what they're saying may be true. And then you got people that, the same person possibly is just talk a bunch of stuff and sit and complain and have a victim mentality. She didn't do nothing. She didn't do that. She didn't do nothing like that. She actually went to ground zero. She actually placed herself right at Harvard and didn't let what society, what even other black people thought was normal, keep her from being her own princess and being appreciated, loved, and respected, and integrating well into the authentic person that she was. That is so beautiful. This is a beautiful human being. But with everything, I'm not trying to be petty, but I do want to show you something. Okay. First of all, I want to show you something. First, I want to show you how on this page, this guy here, Velo Vincent, I'll make sure to put the link in the description. There's only 2,000 views, and this video was made 3 years ago. And those views went up after the plane crash, of course, right? So I want to show you how unpopular her and her talking points are. But I also want to show you something else. 19 comments, right? All positive except for one. I'll go through them. Rest in peace. She was an angel, very brilliant. Being able to critique the law is as important as knowing the law. Yes, ma'am. Amen. This is exactly my beef with Harvard Law. My friend, thank you. Well, that's the guy whose page it is. 3 years ago, thank you for your productive and instructive videos. That's the question I've been asking myself for months now. Is Columbia worth the money? Okay, now this very last comment is the only negative comment, and it was 2 years ago, right? I want to show y'all something. change the price of law school to free, abolish the bar exam, your law degree is enough. She giggled too much. You see how she just has a problem and a funky attitude? Look who it is. Yeah, I'm putting out here. Yeah, yeah, I'm putting out here. This is what we got to deal with. Look, look who the only negative comment in there. Look who it's from. Look where the hate comes from. And I'll just stop on that. It is what it is. I'll put a link in here too. It made me no difference. I said what I said. I meant it. I'm not trying to be tough or no tough guy. Of course not, especially toward women. But I do want to highlight the truth and just show you something, man. Show you what we up against. Everybody is not cool. Everybody isn't the enemy. You have to go by case basis. You don't know who's the one that's going to try to tear you down, break you down, or whatever. And out of all this that this woman has done, now I could take it for granted that this what's the name, don't know her, but she asked JD by a name, which would make it understandable of why she watched the video, because she's an actual law student. So she's from Detroit. She's trying to become a licensed attorney. She's studying for the bar again, which means what? She failed. Law school tutoring or outlines, email me. Why would I email someone for tutoring that has failed the bar? I'm here to educate you about the law. Here I will post content about the law, business, logistics. From time to time, I may post authentic content like struggles of life after law school, and challenges finding jobs. Angel Vegan and Fitness, and she has literacy, blah, 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 blah. Cash App is a way to support me on my journey to becoming a licensed attorney, or just because. Okay, well, there y'all go. And y'all go on to send us some money. There y'all go. But ultimately, I'm trying to show you something. Now, you use your own discernment. Use your own discernment. Use your. Oh, God. Man, there's so many ways I can go with this. Y'all use your own discernment, man. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm done. I'm just gonna get on out the way. Good luck. Now I'm finna show you something. Uh, well, I'm about to turn the corner. Is what I'm finna do. I'm gonna turn the corner. And I'm gonna show you this. Now this is a pilot Steeeves, and it's Steeeves with two E's, right? If you go to his webpage, even though I'll put the link up there, if you go to his webpage, this video is not there anymore. They've taken it down. So if you're still seeing this, you may want to appreciate it, because you can't go to its original source. But once again, for the spirit of information, I'm going to give this to you, and I'm going to be talking through it. But just watch this and listen to this.
It's 1000 towards the feed, start one way through 3.
Pat 25 says, has the traffic in sight, request visual separation. What that means is that they're going to take responsibility for visual separation from that aircraft. What happened? Here's what I think happened. This is not the final word on it, but what I think happened was, it was at night. There's several airplanes lined up. There is that Blue Streak 5342, which is the CRJ that they ran into, right?
Okay, so He's talking about right here. See my cursor? He's saying there's that. And he's saying that the actual plane that Kiah and the other 67 passengers was on was right here. So he's trying to say that this helo right here, this is the Black Hawk.
Behind him, just
He's trying to say that this Black Hawk was talking about this one and that they didn't see this one. And then he just said it's at night. How is this helicopter right here gonna not see the lights on this plane right here and be saying that he's actually seeing this one right here? How can he not see this? It's at night. They have nothing but lights. But let's just go ahead and listen to what else he got to say.
just a few miles is American 3130. Everybody has their lights on as they're coming in. I
Exactly.
believe the helicopter looked at the American 3130 and said, I've got the traffic in sight, and they never saw the airplane.
Okay, so he's saying American 3130. That's way down here. I'm guessing because he's talking about elevation that this right here is the plane. Was it higher than these other two? How did this helo right here, Pat 25003 helo, not see this aircraft right here or this one, but he has eyes on this one? Man, please. Let's just go ahead and listen to the rest of this bull, man.
As they're coming in, I believe the helicopter looked at the American 3130 and said, I've got the traffic in sight, and they never saw the airplane, the CRJ that was right next to them. That's my conjecture.
At night with nothing but bright lights.
I believe the helicopter looked at the American 3130 and said, I've got the traffic in sight, and they never saw the airplane, the CRJ that was right next to them. That's my conjecture on what happens.
Special separation. This difference proof. American 1630 Tower runway 1 off board, chef throughout runway 33, dispatch 16 off model.
So this is typical stuff that's going on in a busy airport. They're lining somebody up to take off. They're saying, pay attention. I'm going to give you an immediate takeoff here. I've got traffic lining up for runway 33. That's the CRJ that got ran into. And he's on a 6 mile final. It might be somebody even behind him, but they're lining everybody up to take off into land.
Whiskey 6307. Keep rolling down to November, Southwest of the day.
You can see at the bottom of your screen there, the CRJ, the Blue Streak 5342. They're beginning to now kind of come out a little bit to line up the runway to land on runway 33. They're not going to go right straight down the river. They got to come out a little bit wider and come in. But remember, Pat 25, which is up here, the helicopter at the middle of your screen, they've already said we accept responsibility for visual separation.
American 1630 1 star 32014 2 mile elevation from
Okay, as of right now, don't air traffic control got to say, hey, man, what the hell are you doing? Move. That's what I would think. I don't know the rules, but I'm still going to point this out.
33, no delay from a 1 for BD takeoff.
American
Number
takeoff.
1, clear for takeoff, American 1630.
Here it comes.
CRJ in sight.
Now the tower is seeing what's happening, and they're saying, do you have the CRJ in sight?
You think?
You guys are getting kind of close. And the Pat 25, the helicopter, says once again, yeah, and I'm asking for visual separation. Okay, the responsibility's on you then.
Hold on.
Man, dude, look, man. This dude is sitting up here saying, here's the helo, Pat 25. He's saying that they don't see this plane right here at night with lights. That what they're saying is that they see this one. Now, I will say that this one looks direct. If you could do a line, it would go straight down. Actually, about right there at an angle. So between the pilot and the person that's in training, nobody in this helicopter saw that plane at night. But hold on, I'm gonna show you something else. Hold on. Okay, now hold on. Watch this.
That's fine, CRJ. Let's go to the aircraft in sight,
Okay, so Pat 25 says, as the aircraft in sight, request visual separation.
And how close can you keep requesting visual? Man, oh, Jesus Christ. Look, man, these aren't kids in the playground that we're talking about making mistakes. These are professionals that have done this millions of times. Military. I'm pretty sure they have something in place to where even if you request visual separation, that after you get too damn close, they got to wave you off. That's one. The other thing is, this is a Black Hawk helicopter, military. The ones that are over there in the Middle East taking care of business. This thing can maneuver and get down with the get down, man. How did it run directly into this aircraft at night with the lights on? So if you don't believe that they didn't see it, watch this.
I don't think they had these guys in sight. I think they had the airplane behind them in sight. That's why this is such a tragedy.
American 4782, my bad number, visual. American 472, officer on 1 star, 32017.
So you hear somebody in the tower go, oh, and they see what just happened. As you can see in your screen here, the collision took place. The tower has seen it happen in real time. They're human beings. They're reacting just like you and I would. The helicopter ran into the CRJ. The CRJ's airspace was their airspace. In front of them, behind them, on both sides of them, it was the responsibility of the helicopter to maintain visual separation. They even told them a couple times, you got him in sight, you got him in sight.
Which I have a problem with. I'm sorry. How many times do you ask somebody that's going straight towards something, do they got it? Where's the sense of urgency? Man, are you sure you got it? Look like you're running right into it. That's one. The other thing is I don't hear them saying nothing to the flight. I know the CRJ can't maneuver how the Black Hawk can. So you got too much going on, man. You got them getting warned several times, or getting asked several times, which is a warning because it could unalive someone. They asked this man a couple of times, do you got it? They keep responding, yes, we got it. We request visual separation, which means that we see it, man, we go move, we good. Okay, well, my thing is, at what time do you say, hey, man, you too close, move? That's on one end. The other end is he's saying that they don't see them, that they see the plane behind them. I don't agree with that because it's at night and the lights on and it's bright. And I'm gonna show the other. I think it comes off TikTok, but the other one shows just how bright that plane was, to where you knew he couldn't have missed it. And there's two people in there, I think, right? Two or three people off in the Black Hawk, and it has excellent maneuvering capabilities to be able to dodge an aircraft. But those are my thoughts. That's my conjecture. Let's get some more.
Said, yep, got him in sight. I'm accepting responsibility for the separation. And I think just like when you're driving in a car and you look and you see a car behind the one that almost hit you, you see that car and you didn't see the one right here. When you turn out in front, sometimes there's a collision. It's really tragic when this happens.
It's really tragic when people just don't have common sense and they sitting up here, well, you know what, I don't want to say the dude lying. I think that the pilot is genuine. I think that he's really trying to justify what happened and saying what would make sense. But that just leaves room for more speculation with me. I'm sorry.
In an airplane, again, it's been decades since there's been a mid-air collision in this country. This is such an unusual circumstance to take place. It's such a tragedy. It's been 12 years since there's been a fatality in a commercial airliner here in the United States. That's unprecedented. And that wasn't a mid-air collision. That was just an accident. This is a mid-air collision, and this hasn't happened in forever. So now we know what's going on here. Pat, too.
Yeah, we know what's going on here. Kiah Duggins hasn't the making of a strong black woman like her hasn't been in forever. You see, people got strong black woman confused. Strong black woman ain't being no angry, mad, snapback, talking bad, talking loud, being disrespectful, rambunctious type of woman. That ain't what no strong black woman is. See, y'all got it confused. At the end of all that anger and pain and lifting weights, you process it and you do something about it. And Kiah Douglas was doing something about it. So I don't think it's an unusual circumstance at all.
The helicopter accepted responsibility for visual separation. They probably had their eyes on the airplane behind them, and then they tragically ran into these guys.
Okay, now, you mean to tell me that this helo right here where the arrow is, cursor, that helo has confirmed that they see and want visual separation from an aircraft that's behind this big bright light, which is flight 5342 with the 67 individuals on there, 67 souls. You mean to tell me that this helicopter right here didn't see this big old bright light right here talking about they needed visual separation from? You've got to be about the dumbest. Well, you know what? I don't want to reduce myself to name calling. But I will say that I don't believe Pilot Steeves' conjecture on that. I'm sorry. Now, let's say that the Black Hawk was talking about this is what they did see and that they had requested visual separation from the actual one. That he's wrong and it's not the plane that's behind it over here. That they're talking about the actual flight 5342, right? Let's say they saw it, but somehow the and that somehow the helicopter malfunctioned and they weren't able to maneuver. That's an option. Remember, well, yeah, screw it. Let's go ahead and get kicked off. Let's just go ahead and get a strike and get taken off YouTube so I can just make another channel. Okay. Remember Princess Diana? Remember how they were saying that guy was driving so fast, he was either trying to get away from somebody, and then other people say, well, it wasn't that he was trying to get away, it's the actual vehicle was tampered with. What if this government military helicopter, happened to be, I don't want to say, happened to have malfunctioned only to run right into the aircraft that Harvard law student Kiah Duggins happened to be in? I'm not disregarding the other families and other people that lost their lives. And I would never reduce their deaths. But what I will say is if my champion or a champion that I have respect for, somebody that I look at and that I see what they were doing, and I have the utmost, not just respect for them as a beautiful person, but the respect for their courage. And that's just happens to happen, and it just happens to, right before she lands, a military government issued aircraft just happens to either malfunction, not see her, or whatever, but by default, crash into her. I don't know the pilot's history. I don't know who all was in the Black Hawk's history. I think it was 3 people. I'm not sure. I know one was a training student. So I don't know if it was just one pilot, one chief warrant officer, and a training student, or if it was another person on board. But that Black Hawk has the capability to move out of the way when you see that big old bright light in that plane right there. Why didn't it? Was it the people or one of the persons that knew the mission? Or did they not know the mission, thought that they can move, and then the vehicle malfunctioned or the helicopter malfunctioned to where it wasn't able to maneuver out of the way? Or was it just this freak accident, which I don't believe in? And why didn't air traffic control just say, hey, man, we don't even care? At what point do you not control the situation? Hey, we don't even care, man. And at what distance is it too close for you not to request visual separation? Okay, your visual separation is revoked because you're too close. It's too much, man. It's too much. So for all those who got something to say, and want to, come out your mouth talking down and saying that people crazy and all this type of stuff, man, please. One, the first thing you would have to do is you would have to value who it is that we're talking about. You would have to value Miss Kiah Duggins, and you would have to value what it is that she stood for and how she got down. Now, after you value that more than you value that punk Super Bowl and all that other stuff that you're watching that ain't doing nothing for you but giving you a little rush, then you start asking questions like, well, wait a minute, because it means something. The crash isn't just this plane crash with 67 Americans that you care about. But now you're like, well, hold on, man. LeBron James was on the aircraft. Jalen Hurts. And then you get to looking into what they were into, just like they looked at what Kobe was into. So don't let people trick you out your position and make you think that you're crazy. You do have a valid point. You do have valid evidence. It is what it is. Let's go ahead and watch this, man.
Army Black Hawk helicopter in the first video.
Now, right here,
The Black Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left
look
side.
how
of the
close
screen.
that is.
The American.
Look how close. That is a bright light, man. Driving on the highway, you got limited space. If it's at night and you in the sky, you see some damn lights. And plus, that Halo, that Black Hawk, man, has instruments. Come on.
The airline's plane can be seen flying towards the airport
There it
before
is.
the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river.
And looking at how Miss Kiah Duggins lived her life. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? What are you about? Like, you think it's cool? You think that everything is cool? Like, I mean, what are you about, man? Who are you? So ultimately, man, we all have to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, what are we doing? What type of work are we putting in? If you're here and you're on this planet and you believe that you have a mission other than what it is that you're doing or whatever, what are you doing toward that mission? What are you doing to move toward that mission? What are you doing to put that work in? This absolutely means nothing. but I just want to bring it to your attention. CBS News, August 22nd, 2023. Officials confirmed Tuesday. Campbell, 45, was paddleboarding at Egerton Great Pond on the night of July 23rd when he was seen struggling in the water at the time. His cause of death was determined to be accidental drowning due to submersion in a body of water, according to Timothy McGirt, a spokesperson for the Massachusetts Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. Let's see, Campbell's from Virginia, blah, blah, blah. Obama's considered him a part of their family. The former president and first lady said in a joint statement in July when the Obamas were getting ready to leave the White House, they asked him to keep working for them. So he was working at the White House. We can consider that an internship. And they asked him to leave the White House and come with them to their home and be their personal chef. Interesting. Not to mention, I think both Michelle and Barack both graduated from Harvard as well. Thought I'd mention that. So, the Obamas have a residence on Martha's Vineyard, but they were not at home at the time of Campbell's death. Campbell was visiting the area at the time of the incident. Okay. So the researchers spent hours looking for Campbell the night he was reported missing, and his body was recovered the following morning. Okay, so now I'm confused. If he was seen struggling, how was he not? I mean, oh man. All right. Okay. So this man is out at night paddleboarding. He was seen struggling by a witness. And I guess they reported him missing after seeing him struggling. I'm confused. And his body was recovered the following morning. The recovery was made approximately 100 feet from the shore at a depth of about 8 feet. Man, do you know how small that is? I mean, things can happen, man. You can get caught, you can get tangled in something. I get it. I wonder how tall he was. I'm looking at him now, and I'm saying that the brother's about in between 5'9" and 6 feet. He was only 100 feet from the shore. 100 feet is 3 feet in a yard, right? So 100 feet, that's about 33 yards. So just imagine a football field, and imagine how far 33 yards is. It's not even half the way of the field. It's a little bit more than a quarter of a way. It's some distance. It's not that far of a distance. But unless this brother couldn't swim, there had to have been some sort of interference, whether that interference came from up under the water or whether that interference came from him having a medical emergency when he fell in. And however he was struggling, I'm not sure. He could have been given something. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But bottom line is in my small amount of research, look at all this that we've gotten to in only a couple of days. So I can only imagine what the real deal is. I'm not saying that my whatever my beliefs or my quote unquote conspiracy theories or whatever is correct. What I am saying is, man, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I don't want the conspiracy of the thing to actually take away from the life of civil rights attorney Kiah Duggins. If anything, let her loss be something that motivates you to do something with the life that you have. Okay, so with that being said, man, I'll end it there. Rest in power to Kiah Duggins, a true warrior that we all can learn from the body of work that she's left. We all can be courageous. We all can see an example of how a strong woman is empowered, integrates herself, does her work, and puts in work. So, bravo to her. She served her purpose. She is no longer with us here. And she has left something here for us to look at, for us to get some information from, study different strategies, especially the strategies from the Taiwanese people. She taught us how to love ourselves, value who it is that we are, and be able to get respect from just being who we are and not to be anything other than what it is that we are. Be comfortable in our own skin. So rest in power. I'm Coach Michael Chandler. If you value any of the information, please like and share the video. I don't expect you to agree with everything, and I might change my mind on some things. But ultimately, I provide a space for us to be able to work things out, for us to be able to elevate our minds and regulate our bodies. I'll keep it there. One love.
Oh, yeah, the financial aid policy is not great. I would also change that. I think it should be free. I think law school should be totally free, especially for students who are descendants of slaves. I think it should be totally free because Harvard was founded with wealth that was created by Black slaves.